Our next guest has watched every BYU quarterback since Jim McMahon from the broadcast booth. How about that? And commentated on their celebrations, their failures, mostly successes. His name is Marc Lyons, and he too was a former BYU quarterback. Marc, it's nice to have you back in Studio B.
Well, thank you very much. Yeah, let's talk it up.
You know,
With my brothers. Yeah, my brothers.
Marc has a lot of great attributes, and it's interesting that the headline leading into this interview was a golf headline. Marc has the ability, regardless of what anybody is talking about, to use a golf analogy to discuss it. It doesn't matter what. Am I wrong, Marc?
I think I can apply it to just about everything. This is my last home game to broadcast. I'm looking forward to being on the senior tour. See, there you go.
What'd I tell you?
Stop by the 19th hole and get a root beer, Marc.
Yeah, okay.
All right. Let's talk about the BYU football season. We're 10 games in. BYU's 5-5. They're a heavy favorite against New Mexico State, expected to win and get to that always important 6-win mark to get bowl eligible. How, in terms of just the timing of the season, how has it felt for you in year number 38, already in week number or game number 11?
They fly by, they just fly by. And Greg made me quit doing it, but after the third game, I said, man, the fourth of the season is over. And, then it goes from 3 to 6 in such a hurry. I mean, 4 to, and then you're halfway through already. And, yeah, you're getting down to the final 2 regular season games. It's always a challenge. It's always difficult. But then for this to be the last time to be a known part of BYU football, yeah, it makes it more challenging.
Is there a moment at Lavelle Edwards Stadium, whether it's your playing career, your almost 4-decade broadcast career, is there a moment at Lavelle Edwards Stadium that really stands out to you?
You're going to make me all wimpy and I'm going to cry here, but the first time I ran out onto the field at Lavelle Edwards against New Mexico, man alive, it's still in my mind. It's just so vivid, all the things going into the huddle with all of those teammates. Oh, man, it was just such a big deal. And we ended up scoring on that drive. The quarterback actually scored on that drive. And so, man, I remember that so vividly. There have been so many remarkable things that have taken place, of course, that are always big and important. But for me, to have been lucky enough to have been here at BYU and have a chance to be on the field, man, it was great. And then it was just as hard the last time I was on the field. Next Thanksgiving will be 49 years ago. And that was a hard one, too, to say it's done. Senior day is a tough day.
Yeah, and the BYU football players, in fact, 25 of them approached that very scenario this Saturday night against New Mexico State. What advice would you give to them as they go into their final game?
Boy, all year long in that senior year, you just have to enjoy the day. You have to be ready every game day, and you have to be able to, just step up to the plate. And that final season, you just have to be able to say at the end of the year, boy, it was a blast. I gave it everything I had. My teammates are awesome. I just love every one of these guys. And that's what you hope that comes out of that, because so I've been really fortunate in that 5 of my teammates and roommates, we get together every year still to go to a football game. And so they all come to, it was Seattle, it was the Washington game this year. And fortunately for me, they're coming again this next weekend to kind of say, Lyons, your last game in the booth, that's cool. And so the association that we have with those players, man, it just lasts forever.
I wanted to ask you specifically about the offense. I know, shocker, we're going to talk about BYU offense at BYU. Yeah. It seems like nobody ever talks about the offense, right? Since Zach Wilson took over as quarterback, statistically, the offensive numbers are not crazy different. They're very comparable. Even though, how has your opinion of the offense changed?
Well, I do think that there's, when they're performing, there's a spark. Yeah, they have that. I felt as though it was all turned around in the Hawaii game. Everything, and it was new practice week, new defense was put in, a new offense was put in, Zach Wilson's now the quarterback. All of those changes, I think, gave BYU a lift that week. And for some reason, man, it's the attitude on game day that just is crazy. That NIU game wasn't there. It just wasn't there the same. And so I think the perspective of game day isn't sold to that offensive group yet. Somehow they've got to know this is what we worked all week for. This is why we're here. And you got to get pumped up and play the game.
Tanner Mangum is in a very unique situation. He started the season. He had road wins against Arizona and Wisconsin. Finally got that Power 5 win monkey off of his back in a major way. Had BYU ranked in the top 20 at 3-1 after a win against McNeese State. And now he watches the emergence of Zach Wilson put him back into the number 2 spot. It's going to be his senior night, an emotional, very, very tricky situation for him. What does Tanner Mangum mean to BYU football?
Well, I think that he stepped up at a time that he was needed and performed at his very best. And so he's got to feel good about the contribution he made in the times when he was able to perform and play well. And this season's no different. He's recovered from injuries that were severe. He's had challenges of, his psyche, I guess, in going in week to week. And, man, he is just such a great guy. Each time he's interviewed, he wants to help Zach. And he's not just saying it. You see him at practice talking to everybody. You see him on the sidelines talking to those guys and trying to lift them. And his direction, I think, is extremely important. And he's a valuable part of it even though he's not on the field. And I don't know if he anticipated this was going to happen this year, but he's handled it really well. Mark, and it's a hard thing. It's a hard
absolutely
thing.
Without question.
I know that you want the seniors to enjoy every last moment of their final home game. How can you kind of turn that advice towards yourself and enjoying the final home broadcast?
Well, I'm already overwhelmed. Man, people have been so nice. It's almost like being able to attend your own funeral. They just say nice things, and they've been so complimentary. Even some of the opposing broadcasters were aware of it, and when we would talk to them in the booth, they'd say, "Hey, you're hanging it up." Man, I got to shake Johnny Unitas's hand, and Desmond Howard called me twice.
You and Desmond are tight.
Yeah, I have his name on my speed dial, but it's not his real number or something. I don't know. It doesn't go through. He only calls me. Yeah, don't talk to me when I'm with my friends, Keith Jackson, though, BYU played USC at the Coliseum, and we were talking, and it was his last year. He says, "Yeah, I'm turning it over to you young bucks." That's not exactly. Greg would be so much better at Keith Jackson. But, he's turning it over to you young bucks. And that was long enough ago that now I'm in that same phase of I'm turning it over to the young bucks. And so it'll be it's fun to be a part of BYU football. That's the whole reason that I've stayed alive this long, was to keep doing this. And I don't know. I'll probably remember that night that I get to walk out at halftime, and it's going to be fun. It'll be similar to that senior day, and it'll be embedded in my mind. And I'll probably remember it because I don't have as long to remember it. It's going to happen pretty soon. It won't be 50 years.
Well, Mark, I know I speak collectively for BYU Sports Nation when we say thank you for 38 incredible years of broadcast service.
I just am so grateful to have had a chance to be part of it. And, so I'm overwhelmed. It's been great. What a run. Golly, we're going to we're at break, right? But I've been to so many stadiums and seen so many games and so many fabulous experiences. It's just been great.
Man.
It's a pleasure to work with you, Mark.
Absolutely.
One of the highlights of my career is working with you on Saturdays.
Thank you.
Did you sign the new flag?
I'll look and see. I don't think so.
Okay.
No, I don't see it on there.
We 1,000,000% need your autograph before you leave the studio.
Anywhere
today.
you'd like to sign.
All right.
So
thank you, guys. I appreciate it. You guys do great work.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate it.
The great Marc Lyons with us on BYU Sports Nation, approaching his final home broadcast after almost 4 decades of being the color commentator for BYU football on the radio. Wow.
I know. It's a pleasure to be able to work with him on Saturdays without question. Coming